Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for another dungeon demolition, and today we are going to be taking on the Stone Vigil. And as a special treat, I'm going to show you a strategy that removes the effects of randomness from the last boss, so that even people with the most horrendous of latency can still get out of those area of effects very easily. It's a wonderful trick. I'm excited to show you. This is not the first dungeon we've done where the dungeon has hazards that are inherent to the layout and to the sort of environment. This is the first one where those hazards are dragons, so this is going to be exciting. I do want to apologize to my viewers that this is coming so late. I had intended to film this earlier in the week, but, schedules, real life stuff. It's annoying, but it's real. So, here we are. And once again, we have a crew that I believe you'll recognize from our previous videos. Nosage will be our tank. Let's zoom in on him. Excellent. That's our paladin tank. Skalami will be monking it up for the damage. And Fidessa shall be our healer as a scholar, with her wonderful new outfit that she just picked up in a dungeon we're going to do hopefully next week, the Darkhold. But for today we will do Stone Vigil. So take us in, Nosage. We're going to start fighting some dragons. Oh yeah, and once again, I have to remember that I don't have all my abilities.
We're getting close.
We're getting close, though.
Yeah, we are getting close. I'm in as Black Mage, though, which I'm really excited to be playing as Black Mage again. It's my favorite class. I've been avoiding playing it because it's so high level, and I didn't want to appear to be just cheating through the dungeons by being overpowered, but we're at that point now where it doesn't really matter.
Level sync helps with that, too.
Yeah. The level sync keeps it fair, and it does level sync my gear, so even though I have some fancy robes and a fancy staff, I'm not actually overpowered for this dungeon. I'm basically a level 43 Black Mage right now.
Just with top shelf gear.
Top shelf appearances, yeah. And it's all about looking good when you're fighting. Check me out. Don't know it's snazzy. Got a fancy mask, fancy robes, got a staff that I think I ripped bits of Gruda's anatomy out to build that staff. At least that's what I like to tell myself.
At least you're getting use out of it, unlike the bits of Ifrit's anatomy you ripped out.
Which I had for all of a day before I got the staff, yeah. Dragon! And it's gonna breathe fire! Look, it hurt me with all that fire! Yeah, so those guys, they come down on fairly regular occurrence. So if I were to stand in that spot, that dragon would keep flying down, it would keep breathing fire on me. It's not targetable, and there's nothing you can do about it except fight somewhere else. You will notice in the background that patrol that just went by, that we narrowly alerted by Nosage's quick thinking and good pulling skills, and he'll be wandering back out. There he is. Those dragons are immune to sleep, and as a Black Mage, I often like using sleep to handle difficult situations or situations with more than 3 monsters. When there's only 3 monsters, I much prefer putting thunder on them all and watching it tick away, getting me thunderclap procs, but yeah, be aware that those patrols happen a lot in these halls. There are some nice little rooms, though, that we can tuck ourselves into to stay away from the dragons and to handle the patrols one by one, which Nosage will now demonstrate.
Okay, where's that guy?
We got an ad. It doesn't matter, though. It's only one ad, and we'll be alright. Their air attack is pretty nasty. It's definitely something you want to stay out as a DD, especially if they stack it up. You get two of them here. They have a high probability of timing their area attacks together, and that can. So you got one, and then we killed them before it mattered. Awesome. Yeah. And so really, the dragons are all about just focusing down targets one at a time. So you can't sleep them, that's what you gotta do. And you gotta be able to deal with the area stuff. I do like that these dragons have a mix of elements. There's the ones that breathe fire on us out in the hall. These guys breathe lightning. The last one, the final boss, breathes ice.
Gonna grab the patrol when he comes around.
Okay, so I'm gonna try and show you what Nosage's doing without risking myself. He's going to grab a patrol, and he's going to run it back into that room so that the next patrol that comes around won't interrupt our fight.
It's the only patrol in the room. We got the other two.
Oh, good. That's a fortunate thing. In the event that you don't get the other two, then this is a good strategy.
Yeah, that second one aggroed through the wall. It's supposed to be one of the patrols that constantly circles that room.
And through-wall aggro is something to worry about. This is not the only place in the dungeon where I've seen that happen. There's some other pulls where they can aggro through walls, and that's a hard one to anticipate. You've got the aggro lines, which will give you a heads up, but because they're going through a wall, it's sometimes hard to see them, especially if the monster itself is next to the wall. Do you want to pull these back as well, or do you want to fight them in the room?
Fight him on the back half of the room.
Okay.
Dragons aggro through that wall too.
Yeah, there's another patrol on that wall. Oops, just a misclick there. Almost cast sleep on that guy, which would have been... Actually, that's one of the few things in the dungeon that you can sleep, are the outflyers. But there's no point. We're just going to burn him down.
My tendency to cycle mobs with hate abilities really renders sleep kind of useless at times.
And I prefer having an off target to lay out my my thunder on, so I can get thundercloud procs. And sometimes I get thundercloud proc, but there's a target that doesn't have the thunder dot on it. I'll use that on it instead. Although I really do like just throwing the procs at the monster. I feel like that's the reason that I get those procs to begin with, is to do the damage. And so, like, I know that, I guess, technically, I'm outputting more damage if I'm spreading the thunder around rather than focusing it, but I think there's a lot to be said for bringing down targets quickly to take some load off of the healers. Now, Fidessa doesn't have as big a problem with her MP as a White Mage would. She's playing a Scholar, which gives her some really nice abilities to get MP back during fights. But, yeah, if we had a White Mage in party, I'd be doing them a big favor by killing things quickly. I'm sure Fidessa still appreciates a little bit of MP saves.
Oh yeah.
We MP users stick together, and playing as one of the few classes that can completely ignore the idea of running out of MP. I guess not completely. The transitions aren't, but as a class that doesn't have a limit to the amount of MP it can generate in a fight, it behooves me to spread the love a little. Getting the treasures, you're going to see, again, a lot of stuff for crafters in the treasure chests here. A lot of the precursors that make the vintage sets. And some of it's armor for crafters, and some of it is armor crafters can make into really good armor for the combat jobs. So if you've got a crafter in your link shell, like we did,
spam his delivery box. They will both love and hate you at the same time for it.
they'll love you for not having to pay for the stuff. They'll hate you because you'll rapidly fill up their delivery box, as happened to our crafter. Our master crafter Genna has started running out of space because of all the good things we've been sending him. But I am pleased to say that his comic classes are actually coming along too. So you've seen him in a couple videos, I think. We did that interview with the crafter video, in which I had intended to just do a video of him show off all of his crafter in-game outfits, but it turned into a massive rant in which he spends 45 minutes basically telling you everything you've ever needed to know about in-game crafting. It's definitely worth a watch.
You can always tell when the dragon's going to come down with these giant holes in the ceiling.
Yeah, that's a good giveaway that a dragon is scripted to drop through there and there.
And set Lammy on fire.
Well, somebody had him set on fire. It might as well be someone with some hit points.
He barely has more hit points than mages at times. He has less than 1,000 more than Fidessa. Or less than 100 more than Fidessa.
I was going to say, he's got a lot less than
vitality.
Yeah, but vitality makes a big deal, and if anyone's doubting that I'm under a level down effect on my gear, if I was not under a level down effect, I would have over 3,400 hit points right now. So, yeah, the level down is definitely preventing my gear from giving me any unfair advantages. Do you think that the gear I have is of a higher item level than the gear Fidessa has, but she has more hit points than me, and that's purely because I am penalized right now. Okay, this fight. This dude, this guy is so nice to you. He telegraphs his area attack so well by running to the side of the map and turning around. The only thing that gets tricky is that later in the fight, he'll do it twice, and the second time he'll rotate to face somebody. But yeah, you'll see it. This is a really easy one to dodge, and I'll just talk you through it as we fight him. Nose Edge likes to fight in the middle to give him lots of time to run to the side to tell us where he's going to be and where his attack's going to come, and I really like the strategy. I think it's a good one. He phases him from us because he does have some area attacks that are well, he breathes fire. I mean, it's a dragon, right?
It's kind of their thing.
It's the classic old style. Okay, so he walked over here. That wasn't me pulling hate. That was him getting ready to do his breath attack into the room. So we all ran behind him. And the attack did nothing. Well, at least nothing to me. I should pay slightly more attention to nuking. to be a good black mage. I'm sort of being more of a commentator than a party member right now. And he runs the side, so we all scoodle. Scoodle is my new word. I'm trademarking it. Now, one little thing that can kind of get you on this is if you don't tank him in the middle, and he runs to a side that your mages are very far away from, they can be in a lot of trouble really quick. So it's not impossible to get there, but it requires much more fast footing than if you tank him in the middle. Here we can be kind of relaxed about it. And here he does it twice. See, he did it once in the middle, then he turned to face where someone was standing. I think that was Fidessa. But we all ran out of the...
In my experience, he usually goes at me. And it never hits me because I run immediately after he finishes.
And it's easy to know when that's going to start. Once low half health, that's when he starts doing the double. And so he does it once, and then he turns, and he does it again. I really like predictable mobs that telegraph their stuff a year ahead of time. You set your calendar for when you've got to run. It's great. There we go. First fiery dragon down. Next, we're going to head over to find a dragon that uses wind attacks. And that's an interesting one.
And cannons.
I love the cannons, and I will be doing the cannon firing to show our friends at home how it's done. You click on them, that's how it's done. But first, there's treasure to be had. As I love to say, treasure is the best treasure, and that's why our policy here on Dungeon Demolition is to get every treasure chest in the dungeon. We are not what you would call speed runners so much. We are treasure runners. Even if we don't take the treasure, it's the joy of knowing that you were there, that you clicked on the chest, that you said "yar" like a pirate. Whose treasure is it? It's ours.
Except for one problem, you're a Viking, not a pirate, so it's ooh shiny.
Yeah, I guess I'm wearing a Viking helmet. I am a Viking. That's fair. We still sail the seas and take treasure. That's our job. Now this is an interesting one. This guy's really close here, so running straight on through can be a bad thing, but standing on the stairs is even worse, because that dragon will keep coming down. So we all just kind of pretend we're melee fighters for a little bit. It gets the job done.
Especially with the wandering dragon in the next room.
Yeah, and he'll wander close enough that if we're not careful, we get too close to that door frame, you've got multiple dragon ads on you.
Waiting for the patrol to come back around.
So I'm trying to show the link lines on these here so you can see how they interact with each other. And the patrol, he is not linking. That is what we want to see. So we get to fight him separately unless somebody steps in the room and just accidentally activates him. That's fine. We'll deal with these guys first then. You know what? I've decided that was on purpose.
It was just a perfect pull.
It was. It was flawless. You didn't even have to use an ability. They just came right to you. I'm so sorry that this looks confusing. I can't get a better camera angle here.
Get.
And because of that, I'm getting hit by AoE stuff, but I'm not, I'm not terribly worried about his piece.
I've got a decent one from my side.
Yes, for anybody watching who is a tank, if you'd like to get tank eye views of some of these videos, No Sanch has his own channel, which I will link in the description below.
Even if you're not a tank, it's always good to see how a tank goes about things. Because generally in your party, they are the ones leading the action.
Yeah, and if you're in a duty finder and you get a new tank who doesn't know the area and needs to be taught, then it's good to have some sense of what is expected of a tank, because just saying, you know, do it better doesn't really help. And you don't want to sit there and wait for them to watch my entire video all the way through. So, yeah, it's a good idea to have some sense of how things go.
Pulling these back in here.
On the stairway is, well, you just saw it, another dragon. We do like to bring these guys into this room. It's a nice big room, lots of space.
And there's a patrol in that room.
And so one of my little pet peeves about Black Mage. So if I target something and start casting a spell, and it leaves a 90-degree arc in front of me, goes off to the sides before the spell goes off, my spell is interrupted. A lot of people don't realize that about Black Mage. When you pull stuff past us, we don't get to cast any spells. I think it's one of the reasons in fake groups that Black Mages really like to use the Blizzard 2, because it doesn't have a target, so it can't be interrupted by the target dying or the target moving out of position. You know it's going to go off, you know it's going to be area damage. It's terrible damage. It barely hurts anything, but gets your name on the list. You get your name on the list of enough monsters, you come out with a goal. I don't know. I much prefer dungeons to fake grinding. I think that this is a lot more interesting. There's more going on. It's more dynamic, requires more effort and coordination. And you get to like work with friends, and that's really the best part about MMOs, playing with friends.
Though Link Shell Fate parties are fun.
Oh yeah, you do a Fate party with people in your Link Shell. That can be entertaining.
That's how we level our chocobos.
I love Chocobo Companion Dynamic, and shame we can't use them in dungeons. I would love to have a dungeon that's just for playing with my Chocobo. That would be awesome.
So, hey, Ice Elemental time.
Oh yeah, alright. So, here we are. There's not much that indicates that this is going to happen, except all the icicles, the open window, the blue light in the lantern, but stepping into this area is going to spawn 3 ice elementals that will immediately attack. That patrol you see in the background behind them will come up right to the edge of where they are, so it's a really good idea to bring them back. He won't come all the way down the hall, thank goodness, so we don't have to worry about that. Yeah, he turns around when he gets to the point where the ice elemental spawn and heads back in, but they're enough to handle on their own. They are not immune to sleep, so I totally could have slept them, but I'm lightning bolting them, because that's my preference. Thunder and fire, that's the way I like to roll. That's how I rolled an 11, for entirely different reasons, but yeah. And to be fair, in 11, I actually every single level of them. I just liked thunder and fire graphics the best.
Well,
and they do look quite awesome in this game too.
Thunder because it was usually the strongest, and fire because it's fire.
Thunder was the strongest for the mainline spells, but fire was the strongest for the ancient magic.
True.
And I still have that ancient bell here in 11, which is flip, which I can't use because I'm under a level down effect. Gotta be level 50 to use it. They definitely changed up how it works. It's an area effect spell now, and it consumes all your MP to cast it. So that's exciting. Okay, here we go. There is stuff in that room. We're going to take care of the patrol first. We don't want him coming up on us while we're dealing with the guys in the room. So, first we destroy this dragon. Get out of the way of that lightning area attack there. Unless it was stun. Did you stun that? You clever paladin.
Lammy did it.
I did it.
Ah, clavunk. Even better.
Since my stun is on global cooldown, I tend to avoid it if I don't need to use it.
Yeah, fair enough.
And since my stun does damage too, I might as well try it.
I like your reasoning. I was a lazy black mage there. I didn't cast Fire 3 as my opener, but it's alright.
You were too excited at the thought of the treasure in that room.
I was, because there's treasure in that room, and treasure is the greatest treasure. That's why the Vikings sail for the treasure. No, elegant bronze pieces. It's money. Once again, nice big group. Mix of the Z's and the outflyers. I forgot to check which fairy Fidesta was using. She's using Eos again. Are you liking Eos the best?
For these dungeons, yes.
Which dungeons do you prefer Celine in?
I think Brave Blocks was good. And I'm not sure about the earlier dungeons.
I've messed around with Scholar a bit. I think the one dungeon I really liked using Celine in was Hawk Manor. Just because she could side the handmaidens. That was nice. Eos, though, does make keeping everyone alive so effortless.
Yeah, it helps.
Because I'm personally terrible at remembering to heal people, so having a little AI that remembers for me is great. Oh no, fire blocks the way, but that's okay, because there's a boss up here that we can kill to remove the fire.
Hey, this guy looks familiar.
He does indeed. And look at those cannons. I think I know what's coming. So in this fight, this guy's not the only guy that we're fighting. He's just the only guy we can hurt. So we're going to kill him, but his big brother is going to fly out the window and try to shoot us with area attacks. These area attacks cover the entire room, and they also cause a slight interrupt to abilities, which can be really hazardous. So the way we get rid of his brother is not by attacking him directly, but by firing a giant freaking cannon at him. And that just basically scares him off. I mean, he's a huge dragon, so cannons just scare him, but they're still awesome cannons, and firing cannons is awesome. I am going to take the cannons. There are other mechanics that we will talk about. There's really only one other mechanic that we'll talk about, but attack! Standing still is boring, let us violence! Alright, so the first thing I do is I run over here by the cannons, and I'm not really even going to look at our enemy. I'm kind of going to look. He's like at the bottom of my screen. Mostly I'm looking out the windows. Fortunately, a message will show up on my screen when his brother's coming. So that's the good news. Or maybe it's a sister. I don't know. I don't know how to tell the gender of a dragon. And I click on the cannon, I fire the cannon, it scares it off. So that it only gets one area attack in on the room. Then I turn back around, get this guy targeted again, and I'm ready for next rival. Isgabind is the name of the dragon that's coming from the sky, so I don't know, you decide, is that a masculine name, a feminine name, does it even matter? They're dragons.
Tornado is coming.
Tornado's on one of the cannons.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. The tornado. Going into the tornado puts on. And that dot does pretty serious damage, so I gotta be careful when operating the cannons not to stand in the tornado.
Which is very difficult when it's literally on the cannon.
Yeah. I swear they were. Ooh, I got lucky there. The good news is you can target the cannons from fairly far away. You don't actually have to be as close as I am. But sometimes I just have to take one for the game and take enormous damage in the name of shooting a dragon.
It's a small price to pay, really.
It really is. And it's not an impossible dot to be healed through. It's also a dot that can be removed if necessary. And the tornadoes do eventually time out as well. Oh, I didn't get to fire it that last time. Killed it too fast. Oh well. Now, something else you may have noted is that I obtained 3 elegant tombstones philosophy for defeating that enemy. This is the first dungeon in which you're getting tombstones of philosophy, which are used to purchase level 50 dark light gear, which is item level 70. Now, the amounts we're getting it in are too small to matter, really. Which is kind of unfortunate, but it starts a little trickle of them, and from here on out, the dungeons will slowly increase the amount of tombstones they give you. so that by the time you are at the end game, you can usually afford 1 or 2 pieces. To give you some reference, we just got 3 tombstones for that fight. The cheapest, the least expensive piece you can get, which are accessory pieces, are 375 tombstones. So, ouch. You can also use the tombstones. Oh yeah, the fire's gone, by the way. We can go through here. You can also use the tombstones to purchase crafting material, which crafters can use to make a item level 70 set that can be materia bonded. So
Trolls coming, Jay.
that's awesome. Was that our cloak that spotted that?
I wouldn't go with clever, maybe wily.
Wily Monk kept his eye out. There is a patrol that comes down the hall here. Now he does stop at the door, but that's close enough to aggro if we're too far in. Man, I am so phoning in my my spellcasting. Don't use this as a guide on how to play Black Mage. Just use it as a guide on how to get through the dungeon. I consider it a service that I spend more time worrying about camera angles than I am about casting spells. Because it's all for the viewers, right? Alright, more shenanigans here. So, we've got ice elementals and patrol routes. And yeah, we're just gonna pull this. Now that is far enough back. We just don't want to be in the area where they spawn, because the patrols, there's a risk there, and there's no point in having the risk. Maybe we could handle it. I could like sleep the ice sprites, and then we'd all jump on the dragon and, I don't know, ride it around like a chocobo or something. But the reality is that this is just yeah, I was kind of weirded out when I found out that there were other non-chocobo mounts in the game, because chocobos being the mount that people ride is such an integral, like, Final Fantasy thing, but there are some things that I would ride other than chocobo. A dragon, I might ride. The Armin, it's alright. Corel doesn't really make sense in terms of world mythology. The Behemoth makes no sense at all, but that's just freaking awesome. So, if that gets into the game, that'll be a thing to do. But you know what keeps bringing me back to the Chocobos? Not only is like the classic Final Fantasy mount, but you've got the barding options. You can dress it up in all kinds of really cool battle costumes, which don't make any stat dents at all. But as I'm sure you've heard me say, looking good is half the game.
I want a flying black chocobo from FF4.
Oh yeah. Good call. Would love that. Doesn't have to actually fly. If it just like hovers off the ground, that's good enough for me.
I've always thought that flying mounts were cool, but I never played a game that actually had them.
I've played far enough in WoW that I got to use it. I mostly used it to play a game I personally invented, which is fly it to the maximum height that's allowed, dismount, and then see if I could cast Featherfall before it hit the ground. And then that later turned into see how close to the ground I can get before my Featherfall goes off. It's a fun game. Don't try it in real life.
Yeah, I played that game as a druid. Go all the way up to the top and then turn into flight form just before you hit the bottom.
Yep. Obviously, given it meaner, I played as a mage. Because when I have the option to throw fireballs, it's really hard to sell me on anything else.
Well, on WoW, I have almost every single character 85 plus. So.
Meh. WoW just did not interest me the way Final Fantasy does.
Yay, Mercy Stroke kill.
I didn't find anything especially bad about it. It didn't hold my interest. That's an awesome ability, by the way. That Mercy kill he did, it gives him a whole bunch of hit points. It's the blow. You subbed that in as a warrior ability, right?
Yep.
Now, we killed all those guys first in there because we don't want them bothering us when we deal with this room, because this room is a bit of a pain in the arse. So, here's what we're going to do. There's 2 dragons and 2 sprites. It's a 4-pull, and there's no way to avoid it. It's always going to be 4 pulls. So Nosed is going to do is he is going to pull them through the door. I am going to drop a sleep on the sprites. Can't sleep the dragons, and then we're going to focus the dragons down. If you don't have sleep, maybe you'd want to focus the sprites down first instead. Maybe you'd want to do as much damage as you can, intentionally wipe, and then come back and deal with it as a 3-pull. It is doable. I mean, if you're on the ball and if you really focus and work together, you can handle this without any fancy tricks. But I advise using fancy tricks whenever you have them. Fancy tricks are awesome. Let's go. I'm going to focus my sleep on number 4.
Are we fighting in the room or in this room we're currently in?
Let's fight in the room we're currently in so that they clump together as you pull them through the door.
Okay.
We're going to use the geometry of the room to our advantage.
Sorry, we're focusing on which?
You guys focus on the dragons. I am putting the sprites to sleep. Sprites are sleeping. And the sprites won't sleep forever, but they'll sleep long enough for us to get one of the dragons out of the way, and that's going to give us a big advantage in just terms of reducing the damage that that Fidessa has to heal through, and then this fight becomes a trivial situation. If there isn't a black in your party, you don't have sleep, the suggestion is take the sprites out first, just because they're squishier. It's easy to tank the damage off of 2 dragons. It's not easy to take the damage off of 2 dragons and 2 sprites.
I have been asked where is the noob with Diaga to wake everything up. And and I would like Dave to point out what exactly dots prevent you from doing in terms of sleep.
So here's the awesome thing about dots and sleep in this game, which is totally different from Final Fantasy XI, is that casting a dot will wake up a mob, but once the dot is on the mob, if you put it to sleep, the dot's actual damage won't wake it up. So you can dot a monster, then sleep it, and just let it sit there and take damage. Was that from one of our stream viewers?
Yes, it was.
Excellent. Yeah, I wish I had a more consistent schedule for when I'm going to stream for you guys, and I may do that if I start streaming more often. I may post like a schedule and work something out so that more people get a chance to join in and ask questions. And get shout-outs too, because I know that there's some other free companies now that are using these as tutorial videos for their members. I fully support that. So if you guys want me to give a shout to your members, just in the comments the name of your free company. I'm happy to support the community. This is a cooperative game. It's all about working together. Okay, this is a pull 3 dragons. Can't sleep them. We just got to deal with it.
I have no idea how they aggroed you. You were not close enough to aggro.
I'm telling you, it's the shirt.
Well, this is a very nice shirt. If I was a dragon, I would want that shirt too. So I know on the stream that looked like just a mess of color in front of me. Yeah. The camera angles in this game have a little bit of an issue because unlike some games, and I don't know of any MMOs that do this, but I know there are lots of role-playing games that do this, where you can pull the camera back through the wall, and the walls become transparent, so you can look into the room from outside and see what's going on. But MMOs don't seem to do this. It's not anything specific to Final Fantasy, just the entire genre seems to like their walls to be solid and to block camera. Which I suppose, like, for some of the aesthetic, it keeps their maps looking pretty, but when you're actually in a fight, it's very useful to have your camera at a distance. But being useful and being possible are not always the same thing. Okay, here we are, the last boss, and I promised we would have a special tactic that would remove, or at the very least mitigate, the randomness of this fight. So before we go in, I'm going to look down here, and you can see on the ground there is this shape. It's like a square with the corners bitten out. And there's two of them. There's an outside one and an inside one, and the inside one's the one we want to look at. These corners here, these little curves, standing on them, that is a sacred place. I'm going to talk about why that's important in a bit. But first, let's understand what this guy is going to do. We're going to fight him. It's a normal fight until he takes off into the air, at which point we can't target him, and he's going to do a flyby in which he just brutalizes a third of the room. Think of this room as a tic-tac-toe board. He's going to pick a line and destroy all 3 squares in that line. So there's 6 possible routes he can take. Any given square you stand on has a 2 out of 6 chance that you're going to be hit by it. What's special about these places here is that they overlap on 2 of those connecting lines. So you're actually going to be hit by 4 of the 6, but you're also really close to just sidestepping out of the way. So we're going to use those. But here's the really, really super important thing. We're not going to use them until we need them. The dragon also puts out area of effect attacks. There's circles that go onto the ground. They stay on the ground. They persist. And they cause a paralyze effect, which is really bad when you're trying to dodge things that are coming at you, because if it paralyzes you at the wrong moment, you get hit, you're dead. So we are going to stay away from those corners until he's in the air. And then there's a thing that happens in the middle of the fight when he hits half health that I'll talk about as well. For now, let's get started, and we can talk about why you face him away from everyone. Oh, and we get to see his little intro cutscene. I'm not going to skip this because this is not a story cutscene.
There's a longer story version the first time you come in.
Yeah, but you get to a nice abbreviated one once you've done the story.
Everyone ready?
I believe we are.
Yep.
Alright, so he's pulling him over there. And we're just gonna kind of stand on the outside, not really near anything important. We stay well clear of those sacred spots, except Fidessa. Fidessa, don't stand there. There you go. I don't like to stand in the middle because I don't like that to... Now you're at the other one. Alright, that's okay. As long as there's at least one spot that's safe. You should probably move back a little to get closer to the edge of the arena.
Yeah,
I
there's
don't want you too far that you can't heal, but yeah. Alright, so now he's up in the air. Now we go to the special spots. And there we go. He chose that line, so Fidessa was able to just easily walk out of it, except she didn't. And now we can get out of those areas again, back into just general outer area. Here, Fidessa, if you want to play stand, come over here by me. We can stand over here. This is a fine spot. It's safe here. So his frontal kill breath attacks are really bad. Dose is bravely standing in them, and it's a rough thing. You can see he's taking big hits from those.
It's about 1k damage and 2 quick to dodge or stun. And he's immune to stun anyway.
So there's one of those area attacks I was talking about, which is turn that into a place you don't want to stand. So what we want is we want those to not happen on the special safe spots where we get the shortest distance to run out of area attacks. There's another one. That one, unfortunately, is very close to a safe spot, but not so close that it'll be a problem. Because we actually stand on the curve. So here, I will actually stand there. I'm going to use this as my safe spot. And a tiny little sidestep, and I'm out of it. It's that easy. But now things are going to get tricky, because we're about to bring him below half. So when he's below half, he doesn't just do the one flyby. He does 2 flybys, but before he does the flybys, he also drops lots and lots of the circles. So what we're going to do when he takes off next time is we're all going to run to the edge of the arena, and we're going to run clockwise around the edge, because those circles that he's going to target us with, they are actually targeting us, so we can control their position. And we're going to put all of them on the outside so the middle is free and clear for us to move around in to dodge his abilities. So everybody goes to the outside, and we all just start running clockwise around this outer edge. See him dropping those circles, trying to hit me. Somebody needs a refresher on what the word clockwise means. And now we get to a safe spot. Ooh, I almost ran the wrong way there.
Lammy did.
And yeah, and that's the pattern that takes care of this fight for you.
Lammy limit.
And we're probably going to have him go in the air one more time before it's over, and then we'll have him dead. And that's fairly typical. You typically see him go in the air 4 times during a good run. Yeah, that paralysis effect, man, that is rough. And that thing you saw there, that Rhyme Wrath, that's unavoidable, hits everybody. Nothing you can really do. Oh, wow, are we going to kill him before he goes in the...
Yep.
We did. We were so awesome.
Pretty much.
Yeah, but there you saw basically how it's done. And you also saw that it doesn't have to be done perfectly. You can have some people going the wrong way, and you just step out of the way of them like I did. It's a pretty easy fight. You just want to keep those things out of the middle so that you have the middle to run across in the event that he's hitting the area you're standing in. And remember, these, I'm going to stand on it. This is the special spot. If you're standing here, you are just a couple steps away, and in whichever direction is necessary from the attacks. It does mean there's a 4 out of 6 chance that the attack's going to be on you. So you always be on your toes when you're standing here, but as long as you're on your toes, you need to just barely move. You're safe. So that is the Stone Vigil. Thank you guys for coming to help. I'll pass on that as I think I know you wants it. Oh, maybe not.
Oh yes, I did. Thank you.
Oh, you did? Okay. All right, good. I thought so. I just wasn't sure. Yeah, so that is a story dungeon, and that is the last story dungeon for the Garuda fight. So that will be the next video that I do when I get the time, which hopefully will be very, very soon. I know a lot of people have been saying in the comments that they're really excited to see us do Garuda, and I'm excited to show you guys how to take care of Garuda without any real fuss. I know she's a big bad bird, and a lot of people have trouble with that fight, but it is a mechanics fight, and I'm excited to show you that. So, thank you everyone for watching. If you're on YouTube, like, subscribe, and if you are on Twitch, I'll probably stick around. I'm not going out to the bar for another couple hours, so I will keep streaming stuff. And you guys, let us know what you want to see.